at the gym just a couple of days ago, and I was rushing. I'm already trying to make excuses. I was rushing. I had to go somewhere else. I was by myself, etc., etc. Do you hear the excuses I'm making? And I saw a lady who was carrying 2 huge bags with her. Probably had gone to stock up because of all this panic buying stuff that's going on. And she was struggling because every few feet she would actually put the bags down and then go pick them up again and walk a bit. And it hadn't even, and I'm ashamed to say it, it hadn't even crossed my mind to offer any sort of help. Because I was focused, and often I would, but I was focused on the next thing. And as I'm in my car, I'm just looking through the windscreen, I see another couple, and I'm thinking, oh, well, husband and wife, you know, it's easy for them, this is a lady. And they offered to take her, and actually this lady accepted that help. She went in the minivan, and they went to the apartments just up the road. Now you could say, well, yeah, but you can't do that nowadays because of our culture's changed, and I sometimes think we let it. But it hadn't even passed my mind at that moment to think, what could I do? Such is a shame. And today, we've been talking about it earlier on, that there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of, what am I going to do if I can't get any toilet roll type of thing? Well, we'll get through it, okay? But there's still a search for hope, search for meaning out there. And as Christians, we put our hope in Jesus Christ. And the challenge is to demonstrate that hope with other people. Now, last week we were thinking about Nicodemus. Remember how Jesus met with Nicodemus at night when it was dark? Why? Because Nicodemus was a member of the Pharisees, and he didn't want anybody to come and see that he was talking with Jesus. And Jesus had this conversation with Nicodemus about different types of birth. Not just a physical birth, but being born with water and the Spirit. And for some of us, we remembered our baptism, as we're called to do each day, by having the water of the cross put on our forehead. As I put up there, through that we learned that in John's Gospel, Jesus has something to say to the religious establishment who Nicodemus was part of. Today, we're going to think about this woman who's despised by those religious leaders. She's a woman as well. She's a Samaritan woman with a different ethnic background. She's a woman with a questionable moral background also. But again, John in his gospel is going to show that Jesus also has something to say to those despised by the religious establishment. And Jesus is going to show us his actions to 2 completely different groups of people. This is why John in his gospel has put these 2 together. He wants to show us the diversity that is going on, who Jesus is reaching out to. And as we go through, we're going to have 5 different ways in which we can also reach out to people as well. But let's just think about our context here. Jesus has been in Judea, so that's on the bottom, that's the south by Jerusalem and that area there. And he's heading back to Galilee, of course, in the north, where he spent a lot of his time. And if you were to draw an arrow between Judea and Galilee, you'd go right through Samaria, okay? But Jews didn't go through Samaria. They went around it. As we're told in the passage, Jesus had to go through Samaria. And that's a big deal. He didn't have to go through, but he chose to go through. And we'll see that in a moment. Just a bit of background. So what happened was, in 597 BC, when there were the exiles going on, and the Judean exile happened later on than the northern exile. And the exile meant the Babylonians came and took people away. They were trying to break everything down. They were trying to take over. And what happened was that they took most of the people away, apart from those of the lowest in society. And they were in the area of Samaria. They left those there, okay? And what happened was that, well, other people came in from other neighboring areas, people from different backgrounds, different religious backgrounds. They intermarried with the Samaritans. So that you've got this group called the Samaritans now. Mixture of different ethnicities, different religions going on there as well. And so what you're left with is a group of people who during Jesus' time were absolutely despised by the Jews. They were mixed. People didn't want anything to do with them. They even built their own temple, the Samaritans did, to worship God at Mount Gerizim, and that's why there's a reference to that in the passage. The Jews actually burnt it down in about 128 BC. So you can see that really helped with the nice blood with each other, didn't it? So Jesus had to go through Samaria. Our first one of our 5. Sharing the gospel requires sometimes being inconvenienced. I certainly was not inconvenienced when I saw this lady carrying shopping bags. And I feel bad about it. I didn't put myself out of the way. Jesus and his disciples were going through Samaria, so they inconvenienced themselves there as well. But they also had places to go. They were heading for Galilee. But when the opportunity arose, Jesus stayed behind for a few days, as we'll see. He was willing to be inconvenienced. And I know, like you know, I've got my time planned out, I've got my schedule, I work it all through, I know what I'm doing. I don't like to be inconvenienced. We don't really, do we? I guess it's a natural thing for us. But maybe there's a challenge sometimes is, how can I seek where God is leading me? If God suddenly wants me to go over there, instead of where I want to go over there, am I ready to suddenly move that way for a moment? Am I ready to give people some eye contact or a conversation, or listen, or pray for them? And I was thinking about the situation at the minute. Talked earlier about maybe there are people who are stuck at home, needing groceries, needing a phone call, needing a card. If schools close, and I'm not sure whether they've gone to that extent in this area yet, but they're certainly heading towards that, you're going to have a lot of children who are stuck at home. And a lot of parents wanting to go to work. But more than that, the worry also is there are a lot of kids who are left at home who would normally get breakfast clubs, after dinner food, packs from the Sheridan Project to last on the weekend. We've got some extra issues that we may need to look around in our neighbourhood and see what we might do, which means going out of our way, being inconvenienced to help other people. But that's the joy that as followers of Jesus Christ we should have, we should be ready to do. So Jesus comes to this well at Sychar. It's been a long day of walking. He was tired. It was noon. He was hot. And Jesus, yes, he was the Son of God, but he's also a human. And at this point, he has human limitations. He is thirsty, he is tired, and he wants a drink. Here is a great opportunity for him to engage with people. And that's the second one. Open our eyes to opportunities that are happening around about us. Often I think, I know we're just sort of blinking, right? We're just like, okay, that's the point I'm going, I will go there. It's like a Monopoly game. Do not pass go, do not collect 100, whatever it is. We go, no. Sometimes look for the opportunities around about us. When I go to the hairdressers, they always ask what I'm doing today. Always ask. And this lady with quite a strong accent, so sometimes it's quite hard to understand what she's saying, because I will try and ask her something about how her day is going as well, and try and listen. Or maybe we go to Hy-Vee, and they are awesomely trained, so the cashier will always say, how are you doing? And I'm trying to remember also to say back to them, and how's your day? How are you doing as well? To show we're interested and look for those opportunities around about us, to be praying for situations, to be demonstrating the love of Jesus. I wonder how things would change if we prayed for that person in front of us in the line when we just heard that there's no more toilet roll left. Or that guy that's standing there with a cardboard sign and we're feeling sheepish because we don't really want to give him anything. I wonder how things would change if we actually prayed for them. Or if when we passed a dog walker in the street or something, we just smiled and looked up and tried to connect. I wonder how things would change. So the woman came to the well. The Samaritan woman came to draw water. And it's really strange. She came at noon, and she came by herself. Now you could say, well, she's just an introvert and she slept in or something. That's not actually the case. She came at noon, the hottest part of the day, to collect water. She came by herself, even though there was a worry that you travel in groups for safety and protection. But this woman was a social outcast. She was shunned by the other women. Why? Because she was not a woman of good moral standing. And she was fed up with the name calling, with the finger pointing, with all that stuff. So she thought, well, it's just better to come by myself. And yet Jesus, knowing she's a Samaritan, she had to be, and knowing she's a woman, because that's pretty obvious as well, starts this conversation with her. And that, again, that's point number 3. Sharing the gospel begins with a conversation. Sharing the gospel begins with a conversation. As we go through the day, we get opportunities to have conversations with people. Now, it's going to be hard because we've got social distancing, and whether it's 1 meter or 2 meters or 3 feet or 6 feet or whatever it is, but there are still going to be people who are actually desperate to have some conversation. Whether it's pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody as well. People are desperate to have conversations. There are going to be people who are incredibly lonely as we go through the next couple of weeks. Starts with a conversation. And it doesn't have to immediately begin with Jesus or the Bible. You don't need to have a theology degree to do this. You just need to be able to have a conversation with people. And Jesus said to the disciples in Acts, don't worry about what to say. The Holy Spirit will give you the words to say. So then the Samaritan woman says to Jesus, well, hang on a minute. How is it that you, being a Jew and a man, although she didn't say that bit, asked for a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? Because to get the drink, Jesus didn't have his bucket either. You'd have to use her bucket. And that was a big no-no as well. By tradition, Jewish men, rabbis, did not even speak with their own wife in public. And it was very unusual to ask for a favour from another lady, let alone a Samaritan. You see how alien this whole thing is? The woman was very surprised at Jesus' request, but she wasn't offended by it, which I find fascinating. She didn't sort of tell him off and tell him, no, you shouldn't be asking me. It actually encouraged their conversation to go on more. And she didn't get the impression, here's a guy who's going to make fun of me, he's going to point fingers at me, he's going to judge me, he's going to hate me. She didn't get that. Because that's why the conversation kept going on. Jesus displayed so much love, such a sense of security in that conversation, that she started to talk with him. Even when he points out to her that knowledge of her sins. So, point number 4. Cultural barriers need to be ignored. Cultural barriers need to be ignored. There's a question churches are often encouraged to ask themselves, which is, does our church congregation look like the neighborhood around about us? Do the people in the pews look like the people around about us? And that's quite a challenging question for us to ask ourselves. How would our church look if we had people here from different languages, different ethnic backgrounds, with different foods, different cultures, even different moral backgrounds as well? How would that change us? How would we cope? Now, I think I've said to you, my mother came from India. I have relatives that live in India. My 2 sisters live in Dubai. I guess I'm used to a lot of the ethnic diversity that goes on. My kids, the schools, the colleges they go to, are full of ethnic diversity. My wife, with who she works with as well. We even have a Hmong congregation here. Maybe it's something we're used to. Maybe it's something we're not used to. The different cultures, the different smells coming out of the food, the different ways of behaving. Sometimes we even think the way of behaving is rude. But you know what? They all need to hear about Jesus. They all need to hear about this hope and this love that we have to share. And who's going to tell them? We're going to tell them. So Jesus is encouraging us to cut across these cultural boundaries, to cut across them. And then Jesus interests the woman in living water. He drew the woman into this conversation, then he uses what is right there to talk to her. And this was water. He didn't talk about that water, he talked about spiritual water. Water that would quench her thirst, quench that God hole in her life. And that's one thing we can have a conversation with people about, because people are thirsty. People are longing for something to fill that God-shaped hole in their life. Whether it's a bigger house or a better car or better job or bigger pension or more toilet roll at the minute. I mean, it's crazy. People are looking for things to fill their God hole in their lives. And as Christians, we have that living water. We have that water, that drink that will give lasting satisfaction, that will give life in all its fullness. And the last thing, Jesus was content to teach one person, because teaching one person can open many doors. He's content to have a conversation with one person. There's a home across the road that's for sale. I don't know whether it's been sold yet, but when it's sold, Verlaine, I'm going to take some of your cakes and a leaflet about the church that Jenny's producing for me in the office at the moment, and we're going to knock on the door. Well, or maybe we'll have to leave it on the doorstep and walk away. But we'll try and have a conversation with people and let them know that we as a church exist. Because too often I think evangelism is about a big thing, right? If we got a big, flashy, electric sign out there that plays video, that'll do it, right? Or if we did the whole area and we put door hangers on every single door, that would do it, right? Or if we put a big full colour spread in the newspaper and advertise our church, would that do it? Too often we go with the big things, and sometimes God lays those big things on our heart, and we pray and we plan for them. But how did the disciples in the first 30 years of the church, how did they spread the church? Through gossiping the gospel. Just by showing the love of God, by praying for people, providing for the needs of people. On Wednesday we were thinking about Philip and the Ethiopian. Philip initially was set aside to serve at tables, to work in the food shelf, if you like. And that's what grew the church. And at the minute, there are a lot of people out there who are needing their cares, needing to be cared for. And that's something we, as followers of Jesus, can be doing, can be demonstrating. And then the woman, she left her water pot. And John in his gospel puts in there these little details which are really significant. The woman left her water pot. Why? She was lazy or she forgot it? No, the symbolism. She had come looking for water. She had received that living water from Jesus. In a sense, she didn't need to keep coming back and collecting water anymore. And she goes back and she tells all these people who shunned her previously, so I don't know how she managed to get it across, but she must have been so excited that they wanted to listen to her. And she said, come see a man who's told me all the things that I ever did. She's laying it out there. But she said, but could this be the Christ? Could this be the Messiah? Jesus had shown her so much love and security that she felt safe. Even when her sin was exposed, she felt safe to share it with other people. And what's the response? They left the city, they came out, they spent time with Jesus. And that's why he had to spend another 2 days there. So, We thought about the Samaritan woman. We've gone through 5 different areas. Sharing the gospel requires being inconvenienced. Open your eyes to opportunities around you. Sharing the gospel begins with a conversation. Cultural barriers need to be ignored. And Jesus was content to teach one person, because teaching one person can open many doors. Jesus had that conversation, and it opened up the gospel. And that's the challenge for us today, to think about how we can be intentional as we go about our day. That we can be praying for opportunities to share our faith and the love of God with other people. And you might think, as we saw in our video, that you're just a flower seller. But you know what? The flower seller had an important part to play in God's big picture. So when you go home, have a look around you. Have a look as you journey through life and see, what is Jesus already doing? What is Jesus already doing? And how can I join Jesus